La vida do por el aquí, no puedo yo dejarlo, de beber nunca me harté de tanto amarlo. Cuando está en el barril, él no habla del todo. Cuando me hago yo candil, hago baños de lodo. La vida do por el aquí, no puedo yo dejarlo, de beber nunca me harté de tanto amarlo. Él llamas hace divorciar, casamientos de oro. La vida nos hace pasar con risas y con lloros. La vida do por el aquí, no puedo yo dejarlo, de beber nunca me harté de tanto amarlo. Me siento yo y yo varón, me siento yo primario, sin tener liras al cachón, me siento millonario. La vida do por el aquí, no puedo yo dejarlo, de beber nunca me harté de tanto amarlo.
Por la tu puerta yo pasé, te vi dejar sentada. La llave dura yo besé, como besarlas tus caras. Aman aman gül pembe, gül pembe. Ne bu güzellik sende. Aman aman gül pembe, gül pembe. Ne bu güzellik sende. No te niegues que te besé, te tengo y abrazado. Como el ducado en el sarraf, te tengo planeado. Aman aman gül pembe, gül pembe. Ne bu güzellik sende. Aman aman gül pembe, gül pembe. Ne bu güzellik sende. Ojos pretos tienes tú, por los navis me muero.
One, two. Muted? No. One, two. One, two. Wait, maybe it was coming on. Ah, you. One, two, three. Dear guests, please take your seats. The show will begin soon. Dear guests, please take your seats. The show will begin soon.
Pleasure. I don't think this is on. Oh, there it is now. Good evening. It's a pleasure to welcome you to JW3, the home of Jewish culture and conversation. And for those of you that are here for the first time, I do hope you will become regular visitors. My name is Claire Ahrens. I'm the Learning and Engagement Producer here at JW3, and we're delighted, as always, to be partnering with Harif for tonight's commemoration event. After the event, please do join us next door in the restaurant for a light reception and dancing. At this point, please can I ensure that you turn your mobile phones off? We've got a wonderful programme and it's not fun to be disrupted by a mobile phone ring. So please put it on silent, do not disturb, or even turn it off. Sit back, relax. I now ask you to give me a very warm welcome to Lynn Julius, the daughter of Jewish refugees. Oh, she gets a clap already, lovely. I will tell you a bit about her, but that's... Thank you, Kira. She gets a clap before I can even talk about her wonderful bio. So Lynn is the daughter of Jewish refugees from Iraq. She's a journalist and founder of Harif, the UK Association of Jews from the Middle East and North Africa. So Lynn blogs daily at the point of no return. Her works appeared in The Guardian, Huffington Post, Jewish News and the Jerusalem Post. She has a regular column in the Times of Israel and the JNS News. Her book, Uprooted, How 3,000 Years of Jewish Civilization in the Arab World Vanished Overnight, has been translated into Norwegian, Portuguese, Arabic, and we're still waiting for the Hebrew version, which is in progress. I'm currently studying on an American course, and I've met with MENA and other ones, and everybody spoke very highly of you, Lynn, as well, which is a pleasure when you're working in the UK Jewish community to hear that and make those connections. So now we can give her a very nice, warm round of applause to Lynn Julius.
Well, thank you very much, Claire, for those wonderful words. And thank you to JW3 for hosting this evening. I'd also like to extend a warm welcome to everyone here in London, or if you are watching online, welcome as well. Welcome to our annual commemoration of the departure and exodus of Jews from Arab countries and Iran. As you probably know, 99% of Jews fled the Middle East and North Africa in one of the largest displacements of non-Muslims in the last 70 years. Jewish communities and much of their heritage, predating Islam by 1,000 years or more, have been destroyed. Their losses in assets and property have been valued at $263 billion. Yet this story, this unresolved injustice, is absent from most discussions of conflict in the Middle East, and we're here to make sure it is not forgotten. It's our honor and privilege to have with us our distinguished guests, leaders of the Jewish community and diplomats. Later, we will be celebrating the rich musical heritage of Jews from Arab countries with Eastern beats. And the party will continue at the reception with DJ Miz Disco. So a real hafla, as we say. I would like to begin by thanking our small team of Harif volunteers, creative Director Michelle Huberman, where are you? Yeah, stand up. And this is her handiwork. And the trustees, Lawrence Julius, Ralph Assor, and Sandra Dangour. Tonight's event is an extra special one, as we are marking 20 years since Harif was founded by Lionel Salama and myself to educate about the history, culture, and heritage of Middle East and North African Jews. In November 2005, we launched Harif with a bang, We had a week-long series of events. We had a lecture by Eli Amir, the Iraqi-born author. We had Batya Or, the expert on the dhimmi, join us from Geneva. We had a concert by Rivers of Babylon. We had a Moroccan-style henna ceremony at Leighton House. We screened the premiere of the film Forgotten Refugees. Since then, we have organized hundreds of events. When the pandemic broke out, we went online, covering subjects from Persian Jewish mystics to the Jewish owners of cinemas in Iraq. This has permitted us to gain a global following and also to invite knowledgeable speakers from around the world. And we're also very fortunate to have a sort of archive of recordings of all our events as well, or most of them. I would like to thank those organizations which have partnered us along the way. JW3, of course, and happy 10th birthday to you. Spiro Arc, which has been a stalwart supporter from the start, and all the organizations which have hosted or supported us over the years, institutions, synagogues, churches, and schools. We appreciate the opportunity Lockdown University has given us to spread the message of the Jewish exodus to a wider audience. And we're working together with We Believe in Israel to achieve recognition of the Jewish refugees. Last but not least, we would like to thank our donors. We are a charity or a non-profit, and we appreciate every penny that you are able to give us and will continue to give us, we hope. What have we achieved in 20 years? I think we have built some awareness of the Jews from Arab countries, especially in this predominantly Ashkenazi community. My colleague Michelle Huberman has gone into schools, both Jewish and non-Jewish, and taken part in cultural and educational fairs. Is it enough? No. I feel we have still to reach the mainstream. The Jewish refugees have been ignored by the media. Our efforts to inform politicians have been limited. The articles we have had published have appeared mainly in the Jewish press. We are confronted with denial, obfuscation, and inversion of the truth. In the words of one Palestinian, Ahmed Khalidi, to accuse Jews forced to leave Arab countries is the gaslight of the century. Sadly, people like him are quite rare. At past commemorations, I have always said that while it was essential to learn about the Exodus, it was a blessing that despite the pain of their uprooting, the Jewish refugees were able to rebuild their lives, some very successfully, in Israel and the West. Since the 7th of October 2023, however, we have had to endure a tsunami of Jew hatred in the West. My cousin Lisette, who's sitting in this hall, escaped Iraq 55 years ago this month to rebuild her life in Canada. She told me, and I quote, "The saga continues. We thought we were safe and free in the West, but the anti-Semitism we thought we had left behind has caught up with us here." Anti-Semitism flourishes when the forces of law and order appease the bullies and the inciters, when the police do nothing, or arrest Jews for provoking the mob with a kippah or a Star of David. Ladies and gentlemen, we have seen this movie before in Arab and Muslim countries. We must learn the lessons of history. The good news is that we are seeing pushback, especially from young people. The younger generation is using social media to post the stories of Sephardi and Mizrahi Jews. Young people like Kira Shalom. It is my great pleasure to introduce Kira. She has over 100,000 followers on her Instagram account, The Mizrahi Story. And Kira has made a short film for us. You will hear heart-rending accounts of escape, the stories of Jews in countries convulsed by civil war or revolution. But ultimately, these Jews found they had no future in states that failed to protect them, were actively hostile to them as Jews, or accused them of being spies and traitors. It is my pleasure to hand over to Kira Shalom.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Oh, God. I'm Kira, as Lynn said, and I run an Instagram page called The Mizrahi Story that some of you might be familiar with. Some of you might not be entirely familiar with. I record the testimonies of Jewish people from the Middle East and North Africa, and I'm always looking for new people to interview, by the way, if anybody wants to come up to me at the end. That would be amazing. So when Lynn asked me to do tonight's video, I was really flattered, but I was also quite thrilled because I've been sitting on a lot of footage that I would hope one day to turn into a documentary. So my boyfriend Yoel, who is a professional videographer, and I were able to go to New York in April of this year, specifically to film as many Mizrahi Jews as we could find from different communities, specifically the Syrian Jewish community, which Rabbi Dweck will be very familiar with. But we barely scratched the surface. What was supposed to be a 9-day trip, we ended up extending to 14, and still, like I said, it was the tip of the iceberg. But we got some incredible testimony. So if you are familiar in any way with my Instagram page, you might notice that today's video looks slightly different to the videos that I post on my Instagram, and that's because I hope to find a bit more of a more permanent home for these types of videos. I also just wanted to say that unless you're a native New Yorker, which none of you are, I don't think, maybe a few of you, you probably won't recognize many people from these interviews as they're all in and around Brooklyn. You might recognize, however, Lisette Stalbo, who was expelled from Egypt in 1956. There are 2 other Egyptian Jews in the video who feature, Eli Mosseri and Moni or Salim Heiba. They fled Cairo in the 60s. Then we have Leon Saad, who fled Beirut, Lebanon during the Lebanese Civil War in the 70s. And then we have Hari or Harun Abadi, who fled Aleppo, Syria, on the back of a sheep wagon in the mid-80s through Lebanon. And then last but not least, we have Anna Hakakian, who was born and raised in Iran to Iraqi Jewish parents. And she fled in about 1986, but she remembers the 1979 Islamic Revolution pretty vividly. So all of these people have an incredible story to tell, but I will also state that it's something that we often forget. There were also positive times that these people faced, and a lot of their testimonies and their traumas, they don't define them as people. And I hope that whilst we're here today commemorating, which we should be, we can also celebrate the moments of positivity they had as well, and I hope they can go hand in hand. So I'm going to stop talking now, and I really hope that you find something of value from the video that I've made. Thank you.
It was rich, and it was full, and each day was lived and long, and I think the climate as well. I mean, it made a big difference waking up to the sunshine. And when it got hot, we went by the sea, so we were always in the right place. So at the weekends when we wanted to get out of the city, we went to Port Said, and so had all those lovely contrasts. And I must say, coming from that to Kidderminster, which was the refugee camp we went to, it was like the lights had been turned off. Yeah.
to this home, and it had a staircase, and we were all hiding underneath the staircase in case they were bombing, or we didn't know what was going on. All we heard was noises, and they were shooting empty bullets in the air. And I think the urge came when we were told they needed the house, or I think we were told they wanted to take over the house to have access to the roof so they could fire. And that's where we wanted to just be safe and left the home. I think my parents later told me that they asked for the keys, and we just handed them the keys to our home with everything in it. The following day, I went with one of my parents back to the home, walked back, and I remember going up the big staircase, and I saw a bullet on the stairs, and I picked it up and I showed it to my dad.
Before 56, or around that time, they came in the middle of the night, they knocked on my uncle's door, and they said, come with us. Why? No, nothing. They took him, they didn't tell his wife anything, and they accused him of being a spy for Israel. And they put him in prison. And then after a couple of weeks, they took my father. He had to go to Alexandria and find out where he was. And he started talking to people. And they said, okay, we'll release him from prison only if he leaves the country right now. Without anything, they would put him on a boat out of Alexandria, and that was the only way to leave prison. And my uncle refused. He said, I'm an Egyptian, I'm born in Egypt, I'm not leaving my country, why are you kicking me out? He was stubborn. He was one of those people that didn't take it well, because then my father started talking to people and making correction and trying, and at the end, they were able business, but they had to pay off people and to do all that. He was one of the few people that were able to stay in the country without getting kicked out. But a lot of people were kicked out around 56. And especially if you were foreign nationality like French or British, you had to go because you already had your country, you had a passport that would take you. And so it was funny you mentioned that, because like a few years later, my father saying, okay, we don't have Egyptian papers, even though we're born in Egypt, we don't have an Egyptian passport. They went, I don't know what he did, my father, but to this day, when I was cleaning after he passed away, I found Italian passports with my name, his name, my mother's name, the whole family, Italian passport. And he got us passport as if we're Italian nationality. And that was in case there was anything else, he had a backup plan, we could always leave and go to Italy.
I wanted to leave to have future somewhere else. I used to make extra money by buying American cigarettes like LM, Kent, all of these, and it was a smuggler who used to bring it from Lebanon. And his name is Abdul Hamid. He's a Bedouin. So I told Abdul Hamid about, you smuggled something other than cigarette. He said, what? I said, well, I'm in front of you. I know him for 2-3 years. He's very, very, he said, yeah, it costs you good money. I said, no problem. He said, $1,500. So I told him, no problem. I spoke to my father. I didn't tell my mother. My mother is a very sensitive lady. At that time, it was too much security on the border. So he said, you have to go to Gross by on foot. And we went to the top of the mountain, believe it or not. And, from there, they brought a tractor with a trailer, and it was flying in the air like, I was afraid it could break my teeth. So, but because of this, we couldn't get the red. Here is a green card, over there is a red card. that you cross the borders, so we couldn't get it. So he said, listen, I don't know how to get to Beirut. We're going to go to Zahle. Zahle in the Bekaa Valley. Now it's all occupied by Hezbollah. And you're going to go I was with another guy. You're going to go in a sheep truck. This truck, they have 3 levels. And they put sheep on it. It goes from Syria to Lebanon. And we were in the bar, and it's, they pee on you, they defecate on you. I was reciting so many prayers, you wouldn't believe it. I was elated when I got to the top of the mountain, and it says Lebanon, Syria, in Arabic and French. I said, oh my God, thank God. But after we went into the valley, so the guy told us you could go and breathe some fresh air. I was with another guy. And I went, and up to now, it was the happiest time of my life, breathing this fresh air of Lebanon.
The thought of leaving my grandmother there, I knew she wouldn't want to come with us. She was old and she'd never traveled and she didn't want to leave the country. So I knew that I had to separate from her, and I grew up with her. I grew up with her. She was in the home all the time, especially when my mom was working. She was very close to me. And even that scene of leaving her room, when I left, I still remember, she did have a stroke after the revolution, and that was another reason she couldn't really leave. But when I was leaving, the last moment before I left, I wanted to say goodbye to her, and I went to her room and I said, she told me, I know I'm never going to see you again. And I said, no, don't say that. We're going to see each other. Things are going to change, and I'm going to come back to Iran. And she said, that's okay. I'll have a good life. But just knowing that I had to leave, and I knew that I wasn't going to see her anymore, was very, very difficult to experience.
We were refugees because we had been expelled with nothing but one suitcase. So in that respect, we were very much thrown out. Expelled, that was the word they used.
That's one thing you start thinking about. The Jews, it happens all the time. You have to keep moving and always have a backup plan. But I remember one of the reasons our parents insisted that we get a good education is as a backup plan. Because if you lose your money, you lose your thing, at least they can't take that from you.
Everything external can come and go from one day to the next, so all you have to do is gather what's inside you, and what you take with you is what's inside you.
Oh, that was amazing. I hope you all enjoyed. Well, I don't know if the word is enjoyed, but anyway, that was very interesting to listen to those experiences. And what you're doing, Kira, is just so important to record these stories. And those who are on social media, you can follow Kira on the Mizrahi Story. Those of us who are not on social media, we're waiting for this documentary that you're working on. Can't wait. Anyway, it is now my great pleasure to call on the President of the Board of Deputies, Phil Rosenberg, to say a few words. Phil.
Well, thank you very much, Lynn, and Mazal Tov on 20 years. Ad 120 وعد. Many more years to come. It's fantastic. And thank you for this evening as we mark the departure and expulsion of Jews from Arab countries in Iran, one of the most significant, but as you say, often overlooked chapters in modern Jewish history. For those of you unfamiliar with the Board of Deputies, we are the democratically elected representative organisation of the UK Jewish community. Founded in 1760 by the Sephardi community of Bevis Marks, our more than 300 deputies are directly elected by synagogues and communal organisations, more than 200 of those across the country, giving us a mandate to speak for the diversity, the energy, and the aspirations of the UK Jewish community. And we are delighted that Harif is one of those organisations, and I'd like to thank Lynn, but also, of course, Lawrence, for the tremendous representation you make of the cause of the Jews of Arab lands in Iran that you put on the Board of Deputies and across the country, including in this event. I really want to thank you. You've worked tirelessly for years and with extraordinary dedication to ensure that the voices and stories of those lost and threatened Jewish communities, and we see here just exactly and very clearly what we're talking about, making sure those communities are heard and remembered. Thanks to your efforts, the Jews of the Middle East and North Africa is no longer hidden in the shadows. It is recognized, documented, and increasingly understood as a vital part of our collective Jewish story. And this history is also personal to me. As I said last year at the event, I'm the first president of Part Mizrahi Heritage, with family hailing from India and Iraq. Fortunately for my family, we had left before the Farhud, but we are very affected by that story. And it's really important that we continue to remember this because, of course, the disasters that befell these Jewish communities are ones that we need to remember. And so many others were not so fortunate. Their homes, their livelihoods, and ancient cultures were shattered in just a matter of years, as we know. The lessons of these Jewish refugees from Arab lands are essential to understanding the Middle East today. Hundreds of thousands of Jews were forced to flee the countries they had lived in for generations, for millennia even, in Baghdad, Cairo, Damascus, Tripoli, Sana'a, and Tehran. And they left with little more, as we heard in that very moving film, Kira, with little more than the clothes on their back. And we are just so grateful for the state of Israel, because had they not been in Israel, the state of Israel, a modern miracle, offered not just a refuge and a place of safety and belonging, but a place that the Mizrahi communities were able to flourish. I'm delighted to have Efrat Perry here from the Israeli embassy, who's done a fantastic job. Let's give Efrat a round of applause as well. I always, every so often, when we meet Israeli diplomats and politicians, I just stop and pinch myself about the modern miracle of Israel, because you just think that for 2,000 years of longing, such people were just an imagination. It is so wonderful to be here with you, and thank you, and thanks to the State of Israel for all you've done. You hear it. At the Board of Deputies, we commit to honour and remember this legacy and memory, not just here, but throughout the year. I'm delighted that our next board plenary meeting, which is actually on the 30th of November, Lynn, for the first time, will be addressing our deputies to remember Yom HaGirush, the day of the expulsion of Jews from Arab lands in Iran. And this is the first time this has ever happened, to my knowledge. It's a plenary that will also hear from Rabbi Dweck, who's of Syrian heritage, and we'll be including music that celebrates Mizrahi heritage from Morocco and Yemen, Israeli pop music that celebrates the vitality of that legacy. And in early December, the Board of Deputies and Pages will be hosting a conference of Jewish studies teachers to make sure that the stories of Mizrahi Jews are properly integrated into Jewish studies curricula across this country. One of the saddest things we learned from the Commission on Racial Inclusivity in the Jewish Community, which we did a few years ago, was that there are Jews of Mizrahi heritage who never hear their own stories in our Jewish schools. It is a travesty and something we seek to recognize. It's amazing because they don't learn that even the Talmud is Babylonian, right? This is something that they need to be learning, and we need to be celebrating those stories and the tremendous contribution of Mizrahi Jews to the whole Jewish story. And next year, you'll know that for the first time, we are launching a Jewish Culture Month, British Jewish Culture Month, which will celebrate every part of our community, including the contribution of Mizrahi Jews to our own UK Jewish community. A real opportunity to celebrate, and it's an important one as well. So yes, I say to you, friends, that our history has seen difficult times, including the ones of years past, but of course including the last 2 years here and in Israel. But despite these challenges, and so much in Jewish history, we rebuild and we carry our traditions, our learning, our food, our music, our languages, and we make them flourish again. And it's just one of the most amazing things about our people. And it's important to remember that however difficult the times that we have faced and are facing, we, the Jewish people, came through the Farhud, we came through the Shoah, we came through the pogroms, and we'll come through the terrible legacy of the 7th of October too. We'll come through it together, we'll come back stronger. Because we, as the Jewish people, have resilience in our DNA, and that is part of our story as well. So tonight, as we remember the suffering and displacement of our brothers and sisters from Arab countries and Iran, let us honor their courage, celebrate their contributions to the Jewish world, and recommit ourselves to ensuring that their stories are never forgotten. Thank you. Good evening. Am Yisrael Chai.
Thank you very much indeed, Phil Rosenberg. I would now like to call on Gary Mond, Chairman of the National Jewish Assembly, to say a few words. Gary.
Lynn, thank you so much for inviting me to speak here tonight. Just to say a few words about the National Jewish Assembly, for those of you who haven't heard of it. We've been going 3.5 years. We are a grassroots Jewish organisation. Anyone can join if they pay the fee of £18 for life. It's not an annual subscription, it's a one-off fee, and we've got about 800 members now. We hold regular speaker meetings, which anyone who's a member can go to, generally about 1 to 2 a month, and we have been doing this for the last 3 years. Speakers tend to be talking about anti-Semitism, they talk about Jewish religion, they talk about Israel in particular, and in fact our next speaker comes from an organization called Eretz HaKodesh, which a few of you might have heard of, Rabbi Guttentag. It's the Haredim group, which are actually pro-Israel. And that's next Tuesday evening. So if you join between now and then, and go to our website, www.nja.org.uk, you'd be most welcome to attend. I want to just address my remarks to the link between the fantastic work that Harif is doing and the fight against anti-Semitism. Lynn gave me the honour of inviting me last year, actually, and the tragedy is that the situation with anti-Semitism has got so much worse than it was a year ago. We're in an era now where Jewish children in schools are facing Jew hatred from their classmates and even sometimes from teachers. We're in an era in schools, in hospitals, where a lot of Jewish patients are actually even frightened to go because they find themselves being treated by nurses and doctors wearing Free Palestine badges, and we all know what that means. We're in an era where a lot of Jewish students on campus are terrified of actually going about their day-to-day work and their studies and can't generally engage in their usual Jewish activities because of intimidation and aggression, which is being caused by the Jew-hating environment in which they're in. We're also in an environment where Jews working in business and in companies and in the professions are facing anti-Semitism from their colleagues. We're in an era too where in the world of sport and in the world of entertainment, we are finding discrimination against Jews. In fact, we all know about the attempts to disqualify Israel from football matches and from the Eurovision Song Contest and other big events. So where is Harif relevant to this? Well, a lot of people have generally said there are 3 types of anti-Semitism. It comes from the far right, it comes from the far left, and it comes from Islamism and fundamentalist Islam. But there is a 4th area it comes from. It comes from ignorance. A lot of anti-Semitic behavior is actually caused by people simply following the trend, not knowing what Jews are, not knowing what we do, not appreciating our contributions, and essentially not having any knowledge whatsoever about our history. And what Harif has done, which is so brilliant, is it's brought to attention issues about Jewish history other than the Holocaust. An issue of what's been happening to the Jews in the Middle East, as we've seen this evening. And what Harif is doing, and I hope will continue to do, is to bring these issues as much to national attention as they possibly can be. Because the only way we can completely actually have a chance of defeating anti-Semitism is if people are educated and understand about Jewish history and about Jewish culture. And this is one of the great things that Harif is doing and bringing to everyone's attention and making it an issue that people actually get to know about. And so in conclusion, I just want to say thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, all of your colleagues from Harif. Thank you, Lawrence, especially. Lawrence, of course, is the Vice Chairman of the National Jewish Assembly, I should tell you. But for everything you're doing, it is truly appreciated, and I wish you all the very, very best going forward. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Gary, and it means a lot to have the support of the institutions of the Jewish community behind us. So Rabbi Dweck has given us his support even before he took up his position as senior rabbi, and it is my great pleasure to call on him. He is, of course, the senior rabbi of the S&P Sephardi community to say a few words. And we know this is one of your last engagements here before you make Aliyah, so we're very pleased that you stayed stayed long enough to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Good evening. We will read on Shabbat Parashat Toledot. And Parashat Toledot speaks of the birth of Yaakov Abinu, along with his twin brother Esav. And the interaction between Yaakov and Esav is very interesting. It arcs over several parashiot. Yaakov, of course, ends up taking a beracha that was originally meant for Esav, and then has to flee. And he does. He runs away from home for over 20 years to his uncle's house, Laban. But he knows that he will have to meet up with his brother again. And he does. He's not comfortable about it. He's a bit nervous about it because they have unfinished business between them because of the berachot. But they meet up again in Parashat Vayishlach. And I think it's important for this evening that we pay attention to the dialogue that they have between the two of them. Esav, interestingly, after 20 years, really doesn't think about the berachot anymore. He's not terribly upset about it. He's carried on with his life. He's built for himself a fortune. He's doing fine. But he does say to his brother Yaakov, he says, you know, we're twins, we're brothers after all. Why don't we walk along together? And Yaakov says, you know, Esav, you live life in the fast lane. You like to get involved in all kinds of exciting things. I've got young kids. Literally, it's what he says. I have young kids. I've got all these, these sheep and animals, and you go a bit too quickly, and we'll lose ourselves even for one day. So what Yaakov says is this. He says, look, Anochi et nahala li'iti. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to go slow. Literally is what it means. You go on ahead, and I'll meet you later. And for our purposes this evening, I want to understand in this frame what Yaakov meant when he said that. When Yaakov said to Esav, I'm going to take my time, what he said to him was, I am taking a back seat to history. I am living at the heels. And he accepted at that moment every struggle, every pogrom, every expulsion that his children, that's us, experienced over the next 4,000 years. And we might look at that and think, well, what was he doing? Might have been better for him to go partners with Esav. And the answer to that is the very fact that we are here, even here, here at the JW3, thinking about all of these countries that all of us were part of. Tonight, the very fact that we can do that alive, conscious, and present is because of Yaakov Abinu. He accepted it. And when he accepted that, he accepted our perpetuity. He said, I'm not living in the fast lane. I'm not aiming to be the greatest nation on earth. I'm not aiming to dominate the world. I will take a back seat, and my children will persevere. And here we have persevered. And what we look at tonight is not just perseverance, but as Lynn said, it's hard for me to even recognize and say, in 3 weeks' time, I will step down from the position of senior rabbi of the Sephardi community, which was the great honor of my life to serve. But I do want to say that in those years, in this last decade, every single time a member of my community or a member of the greater community told me a piece of their own story, it was an honor to listen. As recently as this Sunday, and I see that Linda Dangur is here. I hope she doesn't get upset that I mentioned this, but I was at her home this last Sunday, and I met finally for the first time Claudia Rodin. And I had been dying to meet her. And I haven't met her. And Linda said, you haven't met her? I'll invite her. And just sitting and listening to her story, every story is a world. Every story is a universe. The stories that we heard on screen, thank you, Kira, for all of the work that you do. Every one is a universe. And as I look out at this beautiful audience, every face is a saga. And what we have to remember is not only are we a people that persevere, and not only are we a people that come through and fight and continue. And even as I was hearing these stories, I was remembering people that I know from Egypt that told me their stories. I have a friend, Mishpahat Harari, he said, I came out of Egypt, my card said stateless. I had no state. What was I supposed to do? And yet, they developed and they moved and they persevered. More than all of that is this, and this is what I will leave you with. The Jewish people are a repository of history. We are a treasury of history. You see these countries? They live inside of us. They live inside of us. And they are alive inside of us. They're not exhibits. They're not artifacts. They're alive. And in our people, the entire world lives. And I know that may sound like a bit of hubris, but it's the truth. It's the truth. And that is what Yaakov Abinu accepted all those years ago. And as we come out through all of the struggle, we come out with the beautiful color, the multicolor, the tremendous nuance that is the people of Israel. And Lynn, your work with Harif is so important because, as was mentioned, sometimes an entire world of color that belongs to our people is forgotten by our own people. And it mustn't be, because our mission is to bring all of that together. And I think that it is happening in Israel. It's happening in Israel in a major way. The people of Israel are coming home to Israel. And all of those colors are beginning to find their way into a harmonious tapestry. It's struggling to do it. We're trying. We're not doing it very well yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Somebody asked me, and I will close with this. Somebody asked me last week, do I feel that the Sephardi-Ashkenazi divide in Israel is ever going to go away? And what I said was, I think it already is. Not in erasure, right? Nobody's forgetting that there's Sephardim and Ashkenazim. But in my lifetime already, when I was in my teens, it was still formidable. I mean, the prejudice and separateness was palpable in Israel. And I see my young cousins and nephews and nieces and my own children, and it's just not a thing. It's just not a thing for them. I mean, rarely ever do you see anybody of the younger generation, 20 years old and under, that have any concept of the need to separate between Ashkenazim and Sephardim. They are becoming a nation. We are becoming a nation. And please God, we should continue to see it that way with a work like yours and Harif, with our celebration of our story, with Kira, who's recording these stories, we will hold our people. We will come to the ultimate fruition that Yaakov Avinu accepted 4,000 years ago, that I imagine he couldn't even have dreamed it would be. So thank you. Thank you for all that you do and for the opportunity to be able to share with you over all of these years and to support and be involved with it. It's been my honor and pleasure. And indeed, Am Yisrael Chai. Good evening.
Thank you very much indeed for those wonderful words. We hope that you will keep in touch with us. And in fact, I expect to see you here next year. No, we wish you all the best in your Aliyah. We are delighted to have here representatives of the Israeli Embassy, and I would like to invite Efrat Perry, who is Director of Public Diplomacy, to say a few words. Efrat.
Hello, everyone. How unfortunate for me to speak after Rabbi Dweck. So fortunately for you, I'll be very, very brief. I will start by, I guess, the end. It's been a pleasure, I have to say. Maybe pleasure is not the right word, but again, it's a combination of commemoration and celebration. It's been an honor to work with you, Lynn, and Lawrence, but Lynn, I would have to say, and to support your work throughout the years. I'm very proud to represent the embassy. And when I can, to make sure that the ambassador is present. And I have to say that I want to reference to your words, Nin, about the need to continue to educate people in Israel, I have to say, people here, the Jewish community here, and it gives me, I'm happy to hear that there's going to be a change in the Jewish education curriculum. I think it's incredibly important. But I have to say, even outside of the Jewish community, I think the story of Jewish people and communities in Arab countries and Iran is very relevant to our reality. Everywhere in Israel, in the UK, and it's important that people outside of the Jewish community or communities will know about the stories, because they have direct connection to their own reality. And not only in the sense of fighting anti-Semitism, which should be everybody's goal, but also through their own lives. Rabbi Dweck, you say there's these stories, they live among us. So they live also among those countries and those people that are still there. And they might not be aware, but it was their loss. They lost. And I think they're still, in a way, paying a price. I'm very happy to hear what Rabbi Dweck said. It's true as an Ashkenazi Jew, as an Israeli Ashkenazi Jew. It's moving, I would say, to hear that from you. I know my answer of where Israel is going, what Israeli government is doing, I would say, in a diplomatic way, a work in progress. And I will keep saying that, I guess, in the near future. I would like to end again with what I started. Thank you, Lynn, for all your work. I think it's incredible. I know that I learned a lot about different cultures and different communities, different Jewish communities that I guess I'm taking for granted from Israel, but it's always a good opportunity to learn more about different communities around the world. So I'm going to stop here, and I hope everybody will enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Efrat. I think we should ban the words Sephardim and Mizrahim and Ashkenazim and just talk about Ashkefadis. So we now come to the sort of celebration part of the evening. The party is actually going to begin with a band called Eastern Beats, led by Yoav Oved. Yoav has actually played for us over the years. He is a fantastic singer, and we can't wait to find out what he has in store for us, musically speaking. So, Yoav Oved and Eastern Beats.
Hello.
Hello, shalom, welcome. It's a pleasure to play for you today. We're not formally Eastern Beats, but we're all A-class players within their own fields, and I hope that we will make this kind of closing section in Harif's beautiful event a meaningful one. As we journey through a lot of not every country, so I apologize for those who didn't get the representation, but hopefully you can find yourself within this. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce our amazing musicians. We have Daniel on kanun. We have Mo on oud. Ofer on anything that you can blow through. We have Ronen on anything you can hit. And Tsas on the other things that Ronen doesn't hit. Ininalu. Imenin alu, imenin alu, dalatayna divi medhalte دالتي مرم لقنين علو دالتي مرم لقنين علو الحي مرم الحي مرم الحي مرم ألقانو دين كولا مرهايا علو كولا مرهايا علو الحي يلا حياة شهم حياة شهم حياة شهم شوف مني يوم برياني خلالو مي يوم برياني خلالو جل وأوفن راشم مهديم شامو ومقادشين مهدي كبودولو بشين مهدي كبودولو بشين الحي إيمان علو إيمان علو إيمان علو ضلثين عظيم مدلتين مرملونين علو ضلثين مرملونين علو آها Thank you. So for those who didn't know, that was Imrin Alu, one of my favorite Yemenite songs. We'll stick with Yemen for a bit as we go into probably one of the most popular Yemenite tunes in Israel, Abba Shimon.
Same. Rhythm.
Mm-hmm. أبا شمعون كن بأني لدعيتك إنني أبا شمعون كن بأني لدعيتك إنني لدعيتك نصب عيناني بالبلخري لدعيتك نصب عيناني بالبلخري لدعيتك نصب عيناني بالبلخري أبا شمعون كن بأني لدعيتك في زماني أبا شمعون كن بعوني لا دعيتك في زماني أبا شمعون أبا شمعون لا دعيتك في سوادي ليلو أبا شمعون لا دعيتك في سوادي ليلو أسألك إلا بقولي عتجي بالعلفية أسألك إلا بقولي عتجي بالعلفية أبا شمعون كن بعوني لا دعيتك في زماني أبا شمعون كن بعوني لا دعيتك في زماني أبا شمعون. Let's hear you. Hey. One more time. Ya da da da la la la la la la la la la la la. La da da da da da. Ya da da da. One more time. Ya da da da da da da da. Ya da da da da da da. Ya da da da da da da. Ya da da da da da. Ya da da da da da da da. Ya da da da da da. Abba Shimon kun be'ani la da'aytak fi zamani. Abba Shimon kun be'ani la da'aytak fi zamani. Abba Thank you, thank you. So now I want you to take your mind, it's hard in November, but right up to April and have a table full for Pesach, for Passover. We all know, Echad mi yodea. Ani. It's not that. I'm going to teach you a much better song in Iraqi, which is Min Alam wa Min Idri. I think people might know this in this room, but we'll take the benefit of the doubt that some people don't know this amazing counting song in Iraqi. So I'm just going to have to ask a note. Okay, so I'm gonna be the caller, but technically on Passover, every single person has a chance to call out, which is great. But I'll be doing all the hard work, and you just get to enjoy. We have the words up for that. So I'll start with the first line. Min ya'lamu min idri, and you respond. Hu ya'lam wa hu idri. So sing it together. Hu ya'lam wa hu idri. I sing. Min ya'lamu min idri. Hu ya'lamu hu idri. Arba ammatana. أربع أمتنا تالت بهتنا تالت بهتنا تنين مساوى أرون مساوى أرون واخد خلاكنا أما هو لا إله إلا هو أما هو لا إله إلا I'm gonna throw it up من يعلم من يدري هو يعلم وهو يدري أربع أمتنا تالت بهتنا تنين مساوى أرون واحد خلقنا أما هو لا إله إلا هو أما هو لا إله إلا هو. It's going to be fun. Wait for you to teach us at Seder on this year. Start with Taksim? Yes. من يعلم من ندري أربع متانا تهلت بهتنا تنين مساوى أرون واحد خلقنا أما هو لا إله إلا هو أما هو لا إله إلا هو من يعلم من ندري حميشة همش التورا أربع متانا تهلت بهتنا تنين مساوى أرون واخد خلقنا أما هو لا إله إلا هو أما هو لا إله إلا هو من يعلم من يدري لا وهو يدري شيشة صدري مشنا حميشة حمش التورا أربع متانا تهلت بهتنا تنين مساوى أرون تحت خلقنا أما هو لا إله إلا هو أما هو لا إله إلا هو من يعلم من ندري شيبة أيام حبا شيشة صدري مشنا حميشة حمش الدورة أربع متانا تهلت بهتنا تنين مساوى أرون واحد خلقنا أما هو لا إله إلا هو لا ما هو لا إله إلا هو من يعلم من ندري هايشان يمي ميلا شيب أيام حبا شيشة صدري مشنا حميشة خمش التورا أربع متانا تهلت بهتنا تنين مساوى أرون واخد خلقنا أما هو لا إله إلا هو أما هو لا إله إلا هو من يعلم من ندري 15 شير مقالات 14 المزالات 13 الجميدات 12 الشباتين 11 الكحابين 10 كلمات 9 يرحيقون شمونا يمي ملا شيب آيام حبا شيشة صدري مشنا 5 خمسة دور 4 متانا تهلت وهدانا تنين موسى وآرون واحد خلقنا أما هو لا إله إلا هو أما هو لا إله إلا هو أما هو لا إله إلا هو أما هو لا إله إلا هو. You like that? Great, great. Teaching moments in Harif. Who would have thought this would be educational? Okay, now we're going to go to someplace else for a tiny bit. We're going to go to Iran. And all the stuff that's happening over there, definitely lots of stuff. But I think this song, while not having strong Jewish concepts, was carried through a lot with the Jewish performers. And the theme of the song, Gole Sangam, really emphasizes the longing for like unreciprocated love that you call to your country, and your country does not love you back. Daniel.
Oh, awesome. Let me make sure I'm in the right key for
گل سنگم چی بگم از دلت هنگم مثل افتاب اگه بر من نتابی سردم و بیرنگم همه آهم همه دردم مثل توفان پر گردم همه آهم همه دردم مثل توفان پر گردم بوده مستم ته و صحرا میپیچم دور تو میگردم گل سنگم چی بگم از دل تنگم مثل آفتاب اگه بر من نتابی سردم و بیرنگم مثل بارون اگه نباری خبر از حال من نداری بی تا پر پر میشم دو روزه دل سنگت برام میسوزه گل سنگم چی بگم از دل تنگم گل سنگم چی بگم از دل تنگم مثل آفتاب اگه بر من نتابی سردم و بیرنگم گل رای رای رای رای رای رای نباری خبر از حال من نداری بی تا پر میشم با روزه دل سنگت برام میسوزه گل سنگم چی بگم از دل تنگم گل سنگم چی بگم از دل تنگم مثل افتاب اگه بر من نه تو بی سردم و بی رنگم So, for those who are wondering how good my Farsi is, it's all phonetics. So is my phonetic in my Arabic. So don't be, impressed. Good. Yeah. So the next song that we're going to be playing for you is Bint Shalabiya, which is from Lebanon. Which is a very sister close language and its country, and in fact has been this song has been absolutely sung in all different varieties, shapes and sizes, so we're happy to do this now in London as well. قلبي يا عيوني وتغزل فيا. Aren't they great? Round of applause for the musicians. We have 3 more songs left. I know Kiddush is waiting outside. But I think this one is a favorite of Lynn ever since she told me that she wants this song in Harif events. It's always been a feature, so it's no surprise. This is Fog in Nahal. فوق النخل فوق يابا فوق النخل فوق ندري لما ندري يدري القمر فوق ولا مريدة. Let's hear you. باليني بالوان فوق النخل فوق يابا فوق النخل فوق مدري لمعة خدا يابا مدري القمر فوق ولا مريدة باليني بالوان. Da da. Let's hear you sing it. Da da da. Balla ya majra al-ma yaba salim عليهم عليهم صعبان الفرقان يا يابا اشتغنا إليهم إليهم ولا مريدا باليني بالوان. فوق النخل فوق فوق يابا فوق النخل فوق مدري لمعة خدا مدري يدري القمر فوق ولا مريدة باليني بالوان فوق النخل فوق يابا فوق النخل فوق مدري لما أخذ يابا مدري القمر فوق ولا مريدا باليني بالوان. أيوة عليك. I think longing for the land of Israel has always been part of Jewish experience, whether you have been in Mizrahi origin spaces or even just living in Israel. And I'm honored to have met Mo along the journey of my life, where he had this strong urge for Israel all his life. And this is, we opened like this, we did this 2 years ago in Harif, and I think it's fitting to do it again. Please feel free to sing along once you know the melody.
Allah Allah ya baba wa salam alayk ya baba. Allah Allah ya baba wa salam alayk ya baba. Sidi Mansour ya baba wa najik inzur ya baba. Allah Allah ya baba wa salam alayk ya baba. Allah Allah ya baba wa salam alayk ya baba. Sidi Mansour ya baba wa najik inzur ya baba. Allah Allah. Hey. أشهد بالهام عشقت السوا جرح يا حبيب علش صايب شحال يتيم ملوك عليك وشهد بالهام عشقت السوا الله الله يا بابا والسلام عليك يا بابا الله الله يا بابا والسلام عليك يا بابا وزيدي منصور يا بابا ونجيك انزور يا بابا هي هي نجيك يا سيدي نجيك يا سيدي بشموع في ايدي شموع في ايدي وانا في قلبي تحرق وريدي تحرق وريدي الله الله يا بابا والسلام عليك يا بابا الله الله يا بابا والسلام عليك يا بابا سيدي منصور يا بابا ونجيك انزور يا بابا هي هي هي Allah Allah ya baba wassalam عليك يا بابا الله الله يا بابا والسلام عليك يا بابا سيدي منصور يا بابا وانا اجيك نزور يا بابا سيدي منصور يا بابا وانا اجيك نزور يا سيدي منصور يا بابا ونجيك نزور يا بابا أيوة. I know we're running slightly late, so sorry for the organization, but we have to finish with this amazing Yemenite classic, Ki v'simcha, because in joy you shall leave this place, and in joy you will return home, and in safety you'll return home. So we have to pray, and this is, you'll get the chorus. It's amazing. It's very simple in terms of the melody and the words. So I hope the whole room will be singing with us as we kind of think about this and also think about the last remaining hostages who have yet to return home. Okay.
Can we have some more oud in the monitors, please?
Yeah. Are we going? Hey! כי בשמחה תשאון ובשלום תבואון כי בשמחה תשאון ובשלום תבואון הללויה כי טוב כי לעולם חסדו הללויה כי טוב כי לעולם חסדו כי בשמחה תצאון ובשלום תבואון כי בשמחה תצאון ובשלום תבואון הללויה כי טוב כי לעולם חסדו הללויה כי טוב כי לעולם חסדו Daniel on Kanun. أيوة. ونعود. Ofer on ney and saxophone and clarinet and يلا ترنيمة يلا يلا يلا כי בשמחות אסעון ובשלום תבולון כי בשמחות אסעון ובשלום תבולון הללויה כי טוב כי לעולם חסדו הללויה כי טוב כי לעולם חסדו הללויה כי טוב כי לעולם חסדו הללויה כי טוב כי לעולם חסדו ברוכים תהיו. I forgot to mention Sass and Ronen on percussion because they're so wonderful. It's so wonderful. Thank you so much. And to Lynn for inviting. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you to you, Yoav, as well. Thank you. Thank you very much. That was absolutely wonderful. Thank you to all of our speakers. Let's continue the party. Join us in the restaurant just out there for a reception featuring a disco by Emily Theodore. There's also a surprise from some of our special dance groups here at JW3. Thank you to all of the dancers, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you, everybody.
kadeh daha içsek ne olur? Yak bir sigara ne fark eder? Ne söylesem de gideceksin zaten. 3-5 dakika ne fark eder? Ne söylesem de gideceksin zaten. 3-5 dakika ne fark eder? Yalan söyle, bu saatten sonra ne fark eder? İstemem artık hiçbir şey. Öldüm ben nasıl ne fark eder? İstemem artık hiçbir şey. Öldüm ben nasıl ne fark eder? Azıcık daha kalsan ne olur? Son bir öpücük ne fark eder? Ne söylesem de gideceksin zaten. 3-5 dakika ne fark eder? Ne söylesem de gideceksin zaten. 3-5 dakika ne fark eder? 3-5 dakika ne fark eder? 3-5 dakika ne fark eder? Ben seni severim, çok seni severim. Ben seni severim, çok seni severim. Ben seni severim, çok